I'm always interested in what God does to change a culture, to start something new. It really is fascinating to watch. In fact, I was reading in Acts chapter 10 where Peter shows up at a guy's house. Of course, God says, go with him. And in fact, prepared Peter along the way. And you can read about it in chapter 10 of Acts, what God does to prepare him. But he shows up, Peter shows up, and all these people are expecting. And I've talked about this before, and Cornelius, the centurion, sends to him. But his sermon is so fascinating to me, Peter's sermon, and what precedes. And it didn't last long. 5 minutes? That's so cool. I'm not saying sermons should be too long. I'm not saying sermons should be too short. What I am saying is God was behind what Peter was doing. God breathed on what Peter was doing. God breathed on the heart of the centurion, who was obviously had a heart for God because he gave to the poor. He helped people. He did godly things. He had a heart for mercy. He had a heart to serve God, not knowing what he was really doing, but all along the heart was there, and God recognized it and saw it, rewarded it. And then Peter shows up. And with the 5-minute message, it goes like this. He says, Peter said this, "Now I realize how true it is that God does not show favoritism, but accepts every nation. The one who fears him and does what is right, you know the message God sent to the people of Israel, announcing the good news of peace through Jesus Christ, who is Lord of all. You know what has happened throughout the province of Judea, beginning in Galilee with the baptism of John, that John preached, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and power, and he went around doing good and healing all who were under the power of the devil, because God was with him." Pretty easy. He goes on and says, "We are witnesses of everything he did in the country of the Jews and in Jerusalem. They killed him by hanging him on a cross. But God raised him from the dead, and on the third day caused him to be seen. He was seen by people. He was not seen by all the people, but by witnesses God had already chosen, by us who ate and drank with him after he rose from the dead. He commanded us to preach to the people and to testify that he is the one whom God appointed as judge of the living and the dead. All the prophets testify about him, and everyone who believes in him receives forgiveness of sins." That's the sermon. That's it. We get to do the same stuff. Spend time with Jesus. Eat and drink with him. Taste and see as he's good, as it says in the scriptures. Spend time with him. Be a witness of all the cool things he does. Pray with your eyes open. But here's the thing. When God breathes on what you're doing, because he has sent you to do that, and because he has prepared you for that, you don't have to do really all that much. And then watch God transform a community. Watch God transform one life. Watch God transform one family. Maybe it's a generous act. Maybe it's giving food to the poor. Maybe it's helping someone in need. Maybe it's giving a job. Maybe it's sending money to a missionary. Maybe it's sending money to a family that needs some holiday food. Whatever the case might be. Ask God to breathe on it. And watch it magnify from something small into something large. Watch the power of God transform a family, that transforms a nation, that transforms the world. God does those things. He breathes on them, and they have life. God's always moving, and he's always moving forward. And he's looking for people that are ready to do it. I pray God blesses you today. I pray God uses you today, that he breathes on your work, and that you spend time with him, eating and drinking. Maybe you take your lunch and you go, "Jesus, let's have lunch together." and sit and listen. Maybe you share it with somebody. Maybe you sit and listen to God and hear what God's doing. Let Him breathe on you in what you're doing. So God bless you. I pray you have a great day.